was just wondering if somebody can send me the public link to my email, please.
We will send you the YouTube link to your email. Yep.
Thank you. All right. So again, good morning. I'm Angela Carter. I'm the program manager for Measure 110, and I will be serving as the facilitator for the meeting today. The Oversight and Accountability Council welcomes and encourages community input. Members of the public are invited to submit public comments, or if you would like to get on our email list to get updates about the program, please email us at oha.measure110@dhosoha.state.or.us. And you can find that email address and more information about the council on the Measure 110 OAC website. If you would like more information or support with community engagement, please reach out to that email or to Jessica Carroll. OAC members have asked that OHA staff who are present in this meeting space, please introduce yourself in the chat. So if you would, please share your role with the agency, your name, your pronouns, and if you are a subject matter expert of any kind, please let us know your area of expertise. I'm going to give a few more minutes before we start attendance, just to make sure that folks have time to get into the meeting. So we'll pause for just a moment and make sure that we have all our folks here in the room today. See a few more faces. Hello, Caroline. Hi, Ron. Welcome, Leticia. I think we have 11 folks at this point, so we need to wait just a few more minutes to get started.
We got 12 now. Onisha's coming in.
Awesome. Hi, Onisha. Welcome.
Hey, you guys.
Thanks, y'all, for being here in the morning, on a Friday, no less. Appreciate your willingness to join us to do this.
I'm currently texting members who indicated that they could be here but are not yet here.
Okay, thank you, Jessica. Appreciate it. I know that Morgan said she would be able to be here, but late, so we can expect her in a short while.
Hubert will be here at 10:30.
Okay.
Nicole is now joining.
Okay,
I have
great.
a couple texts out, so hopefully we'll get there.
Awesome. Hi, Nicole. Welcome in.
Hi.
This is Awen. I have something I need to go take care of. It'll take 10 or 15 minutes. I'm wondering if I should go do that now, or if there's a chance we'll have time before noon. Well, I'm just wondering if now is a good time since we're waiting for quorum.
I think now could be a good time. There's a little bit of information that I'll be sharing at the beginning that you might miss. But my guess is that we will be able to get through the discussion and vote for this process by 11:30, most likely.
All right. And Angela, can you text me when we have quorum and are starting the official meeting so that I can move as quickly as I can back to the meeting?
Yes,
Or
we
to
can do
somebody?
that. Yeah.
I will. I'll do that for you, Aowen.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica.
Of course.
I think it may be time for me to put together some music compilations for the moments where we're hanging out and waiting, just so that there's something fun to listen to. I'll work on that. The best meetings always have the best music. It helps.
We have Carlos joining.
Just wanted to know, like,
Hi, Carlos. Welcome.
So I think we are about as close as we're going to get. I know we have two members who could not be here, and we have one joining at 10:30 and another one who is going to be a little late. So
All right.
I think we're about as close as we get.
Okay. I think that there are 14 council members, but why don't we go ahead, Walter, and do attendance, if you would.
Sounds great. Good morning, everyone.
Thank you.
Happy Friday. Good to see everybody. And I'm going to start from the top. And I don't see Amy. Amy's not here. Give me 1 second. Okay. Blue is here.
Yep. Good morning.
Good morning, Blue. Okay. Carlos is here. Hi, Carlos. Caroline is here. Hi, Caroline. Dharma? Is Dharma? No, Dharma. Okay. Henry? I don't think I see Henry.
He will not be joining us.
Okay. And Hubert's coming at 10:30. Karen is here. Karen. Keisha is here.
I'm here.
Hey, Keisha. And Leticia's here.
I'm here.
Hey. All right. Melinda is here.
Yes, I am.
Yeah, all right. And you said Morgan's going to be joining us later, possibly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Nicole is here. Nicole. Hi, Nicole. Okay. Onisha is here. Hi, Onisha. And
Hey,
Ron
Ron.
is, yay. Ron is here. Hey, Ron. Sabrina is here.
Yes.
Hi, Sabrina. And Zeb is here. I think I know I saw Zeb's.
Did
So
you
we're at,
call my name? Sorry.
yes, I did. Yeah.
Oh, I'm here. Yeah.
All right. Steve is here. Hi,
Good
Steve.
morning, everybody.
And Reginald is not. So we've got 13 voting members and one non-voting member. So,
Okay.
yeah. Thanks, everybody.
So we will have quorum to have a vote once we have another member join us. But for now, we can start moving with the discussion. And we can fill folks in as they arrive and give them the details that they need to understand the process. Yes, Ron. Oh, no? Okay. All right. So I have invited y'all here today. Thank you so much for coming on a Friday last minute. Truly appreciate your flexibility and your willingness to show up just constantly. So we have had some adjustments to both our schedule of reviews and also to the reviews themselves. So I wanted to give you all an update on where we're at in the process and give you some numbers so that you can have a sense of what we're working with, and then give you a sense of what changes we have made as recommendations for the process for the evaluations. And then we'll have some time to talk about the changes, review them in more detail if you would like. And then I hope that we can come to a consensus and have a vote, and then move forward with the meetings for bringing the recommendations to the full council. So what I think I'm going to do is share my screen and get us started with sort of a high-level overview of where we're at right now. All right, so let me share this. And okay. Can you all see the screen relatively well? Good? Okay. All right. And now it won't advance. There we go. All right. So backing up a little bit, OHA requested that the OAC have all of the rubrics complete by this past Sunday on the 6th and sent in to us. At this point, we've received the rubrics from the evaluation subcommittee, and I just wanted to say again, thank you all so much for the time and the love and the effort that you put into doing these reviews. It's really remarkable how much was completed. And we will begin the subcommittee reviews on Monday, the 14th. We will be meeting from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m., so a 4-hour meeting to review the entities that we have complete in a set of counties. And we will be sending out all of those rubrics for you to review so that you can prepare for the vote on Monday by the end of day today. So when we broke it all down, when the dust cleared, there were a total of 333 entities that applied to be a part of a burn, which I believe is one of the largest grant processes, grant applications that OHA has had to date. So with 333 entities, a total of 666 evaluations were needed, and the OAC, 11 people were able to complete a total of 156 evaluations for the final recommendation votes. So truly well done. That is a huge amount of work. Thank you so much. And at this point, all of the remaining application evaluations are being taken on by a team of about 50 OHA staff so that we can get them completed quickly and move into the review process so that we can bring the recommendations to the full council. We're working with OAC members with rubrics that are close to complete to fill in a few remaining details and assure that they are ready to use. We've currently assigned 271 application evaluations to OHA staff, and we are working to assign the remaining 207 applications now. So this morning, you received a document with new information and some additional information on the OHA proposal for the evaluations process. We had to change the process a little bit because of the addition of the OHA reviewers, and just for some clarification points. And my goal with this proposal is to reduce the time that's needed in subcommittee to do the votes so that we can get closer to meeting our goal of the final vote on April 6th in full council. Goal all along has been to maintain OAC ownership of this process and the decisions while making some room to allow for assistance with the process. Also, purpose was to increase group sharing of the decision-making process in the subcommittee, and also to improve some of the details of the process for the OAC decisions on the final awards amounts and the contracts. So we've added some detail, we've refined a few things, and we've changed a couple of points. And I'll just go through those changes so that you have a sense what they are, and then we can review in more depth on the full document after we go through this. So the proposed changes to the process. The first change would be that we would not be doing presentations per se of the entities. Essentially, each of the subcommittee members and OAC members as well will have the opportunity to look over all of the rubrics prior to the meetings and then bring your vote based on the review of those rubrics. This is more efficient in the process because it means that you will have all of the information in front of you. You'll be able to look through it and think through your decisions prior to the meeting. It does mean that there will be more reading of the rubrics at home, but it means that we can get through the meetings more quickly and get to funding these organizations. We also changed a little bit around conflicts of interest. So members with conflicts of interest will still stay in the Zoom room. They will just turn cameras off and mic off and abstain from the vote so that we can maintain quorum if there are multiple people with conflicts. The proposal also clarifies that both the OAC and OHA staff present in the room will turn off their camera if there is a conflict of interest. So just a clarification that this is required for both OHA staff and the OAC to follow ethics requirements. The changes also allow for OHA to provide complete rubric evaluations, but maintains that the membership and voting may only be for the OAC members that joined the subcommittee and remain on the subcommittee. So OHA would provide full rubrics with suggestions for recommendations, but the subcommittee would still maintain the ability to make motions and vote as they wish. There's not a requirement to follow the recommendations if you collectively don't agree with the assessments. And we added a little extra piece here. If the final vote differs from the recommendations in the rubric, we will be putting together a form. And if we have a differing opinion in the final vote for the recommendations, we'll send that to you and collect information mostly through checkboxes with some places for fill in the blank so that each of you can let us know why you chose your vote and why your vote was in alignment with Measure 110 vision and values. We also added a little bit more on the process for the final vote on the counties and the tribal awards in the full council. We added a little information about how the OAC will be involved in the decisions about the funding amounts. and how the OAC will be involved in the contracting phase. We clarified details around the number required for quorum in subcommittee and for a vote to pass. And then we also clarified a little bit about the information on the entities that may or may not be used in the discussions in the meetings. That's our high level overview. That's generally the majority of the changes that we have suggested. I'm going to stop sharing now so we can all see each other. Hello again. So, have all of you had at least a little bit of an opportunity to review the suggested changes in the document that we sent out to you this morning? And if you have, do you have questions? If not, do you want a moment to look that over and get a little more clarity on the document? So Carlos, I see you said in the chat, yes, please. Do you want yes, please time to review it, or
Yes, please, because I'm in the great city of Prineville, and I need to just take a minute to review it.
Absolutely. I'll pull it up on screen so that everybody can see the same document that we're working on. Okay.
Amy, did
All
you
right.
want to go ahead? Amy had her hand raised.
Oh, Amy, yes, of course, please.
I'm sorry about the noise in the background, but can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. So I was just wondering, you sent us something this morning?
Yes.
Okay, I did not get to review it. So
Okay.
while I'm gonna leave my Zoom up, I'm gonna switch over, look at it while you're or is this it?
This is it. This is the document we sent out.
Okay.
So we'll walk through it. I'll walk through the whole thing with you all. So I know that it was short notice and you haven't necessarily had a chance to go through all of it. So we'll just make sure it's very clear for everyone.
Sounds good.
All right. So is this big enough for everyone to see clearly? Okay. So we have it in phases. We have our initial approval phase. No change in the number of evaluators. Still 2 folks reviewing. And everyone completes the scoring rubric. And this is one of the changes that we made. The evaluators may be OAC members or staff, or a combination of the two. Once we have received all of the applications for a given county, we will notify the subcommittee members and the full council and give all of the applicable rubrics to you no less than 2 days before the subcommittee would vote on those particular applications. And then if you have any questions that you would like more information on the application, then you are welcome to request any and all application materials from us, and we will send them to you so you can review them before the meeting. The evaluation subcommittee is the remaining 11 OAC members who volunteered to participate and have not resigned from the subcommittee. And the responsibility of those subcommittee members is to review the completed rubrics and the materials from the application as needed to get ready to vote to recommend full award, partial award, no award, or a vote to clarify information and bring the application back for consideration at a later date once we've been able to provide the appropriate information that you need. You can request additional information. We would love it if you could send it in writing and prior to the meeting so that you can have that information and make your recommendations with confidence. This is a clarification that only OAC members who are evaluators and have not resigned are voting members. OHA staff are not eligible to vote. And unless there is a reason for OHA staff to be in the meeting to assist with the process, we are asking folks to watch on YouTube instead of joining the meeting. So the subcommittee quorum is the majority of subcommittee members. So with 11 members, that quorum will be 6. We'll provide the list of counties that will be reviewed no less than 2 days before, and then we'll share it again at the beginning of the meeting so that you know what we're covering. We will also share a list of the entities that applied for that county in the meeting. And so then OAC members and also OHA staff, all of us, will be required to announce any actual or potential conflicts of interest for the county before we begin presentations. Anyone who has an actual or potential conflict needs to check their requirements, and you're free to turn off your camera and abstain from the discussion and the vote involving the applications where you have a conflict, or take any other steps required by the ethics rules. And in order to get clarity on that, you are welcome to call the Oregon Government Ethics Commission for guidance.
Hey,
I will
Angela?
pause. Yes, I will pause.
Okay,
now.
I didn't know if you saw him. Sorry.
Or Amy, please go ahead.
So one of my questions is, while I'm not having so much background noise, I'm so sorry to interrupt you. So
No, it's
when
okay.
you give us the counties, the back, are we getting our same counties back? Or are we reviewing all applications? I was confused on that.
You would be reviewing all of the rubrics that we would be covering for the next meeting. So we'll send out by county. All the rubrics go to everyone on the council, everyone on the committee. You have a chance to review them, make your decisions about how you want to vote, and then come prepared to the subcommittee meeting.
Okay, that makes better sense. And then my other question, where OHA is re-reviewing the rubrics that we sent in, and so like the ones that Nicole and I did, or my partner and I did, where we had done the rubric and agreed to like partially fund, and we said what we wanted to fund, why we wanted to fund it and stuff. Is that still being honored, or is all that out the window?
Unfortunately, we had to reassign applications that were reviewed that the rubrics were not fully completed. If they were close to complete, we have been working with folks to add a few details. But if there were more than 30 spaces to be filled in, we've reassigned them to OHA at this point.
Okay. All right. Well, that answered that. Okay. It's okay.
However,
I just wanted clarification.
Can I just make a quick point, Amy? It doesn't mean that you don't get to honor your decision. And you can state that, you can state that you read the application and this is where you landed during the discussion portion. So you still get to, so.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, I just was wondering because I needed a little clarity on that. I was a little bit confused on that part, but now I'm not confused anymore. And thank you for answering my questions. Bye.
Thank you. Yes, there will absolutely be time for discussion and sharing of the information that you gained by reviewing those applications. That is welcome discussion. Sabrina, yes.
Yeah, I've had some questions about conflict of interest. The way that it was set up before was we were going by organization. So when their name was announced, we could claim conflict of interest and then be put in a breakout room. But if we're doing it county by county, how is that going to work?
We'll go county by county, but we will go individually by each entity in that county.
But that hasn't changed.
So yes, no, that hasn't changed.
Thank you.
Yes, we'll announce the county, we'll announce the applicants in that county, and then folks will declare their conflicts of interest. And then during the discussion and review only of the applicants where you have a conflict, you would turn off your camera and mute your mic and abstain from the vote. But that doesn't mean that you'd have to abstain from the entire county unless you have a conflict with the whole county. Only for the entity that you have conflicts with. Any other questions or clarifications at this point on the process? All right. Okay, so again, the reason to keep folks in the room is to maintain quorum, but to allow for abstaining and minimizing input by closing off camera. And then if you need the phone number or the email for the Oregon Government Ethics Commission, if you'd like to reach out before the meetings so that you can have clarity on your responsibilities, the number and the email are included here in the document. All right, moving on to page 2. So then we begin the process. We will share the county that we are working with. We will name each applicant organization, and then we will go down the list for the counties, naming the applicant and stating the recommendations in the rubrics to the subcommittee. Then we will request a motion from the subcommittee and a second. And then the subcommittee motions don't have to match the rubric's recommendations. If there is a different recommendation in the motion than it is in the rubrics, that is okay. So once we get a motion and a second, then we will open it up for discussion amongst the subcommittee members. And we have just a reminder here, we have to use the information that's in the application materials only. So we can't use during the discussion any information that you may have found online or you may have from previous experience with an organization. We have to stay focused on specifically what's in the application. And the goal is to minimize personal bias in the discussion and to stay focused on the purpose and policies of Measure 110. After the discussion has concluded, we will call a vote and vote on each of the applicants individually to recommend full, partial, no award, or to vote to clarify information and bring that back at a later date for consideration again. In the subcommittee, decisions are made by majority vote. So if we have 11 members present, the majority vote would be 6. If there are 10, the majority vote would still be 6, and so on down the line. If there is a discrepancy, there's a difference between what the recommendation from the subcommittee to the OAC is and the recommendations in the rubrics. We'll send out a form to collect information from all of you on why the difference occurred. And just, keep that information so that we have something to explain what changed. We will keep track of all of the decisions and share them with you to prepare you for the meeting in the full council to make the final recommendation or the final award decisions. Now that moves us into the full Oversight and Accountability Council review phase. So the full council throughout this process will be given all of the subcommittee, all of the rubrics as well as the recommendations as recorded. So again, following ethics rules, you may need to abstain from discussion and voting. If you have an actual conflict, if you have a potential conflict, it may be that you need to declare it, but you may not have to exit the room if you declare. But again, please contact the Oregon Government Ethics Commission to get clarity on your specific responsibilities. So again, a record of all the recommendations will be given to you. You'll have the opportunity to read through and get a sense for what's being recommended and decide if that works for you and aligns with Measure 110. We are keeping to the county by county and tribal nation proposal that was made in council earlier. So we would go through the counties, announce the list of recommendations for that county, and then the moving down, we'll give you the list of subcommittee recommendations and any discussion notes. We'll give that both verbally and on screen so that you have something to look at. And then we will request a motion and a second for the full county or tribal nation. And then once we get a motion and a second, you'll have an opportunity to discuss the recommendations. After the discussion, the full council, aside from our non-voting members, will have the opportunity to vote on whether to fund the package deal of the county. If, again, following ethics rules, if you have any questions, again, please call OGEC. We'll keep track of all of the votes. In the full council, quorum is 2/3, rounded up to the nearest odd number. So with 21 members, quorum is currently 15. And again, if any of the final awards differ from the recommendations that came from subcommittee, we will collect the information again on why that difference has occurred and maintain those records. That brings us to the conclusion of the awards. Then we would move into the funding phase. This is all additional information that we put in to try and clarify the process moving forward. So before we begin the funding phase review, we would be providing the total of financial requests and any analysis that you would ask for related to the approved applications. So we would look at each entity and their programs that have been approved for funding and break down all the details, including one-time use, including the total amount that the program would need to accomplish the awarded service elements for their program. And so we will share that information with you. You can consider those funds requested with the approved applications. If you have questions or input you'd like to share, we will bring it to you to determine if it's an appropriate number, and if not, give you all the opportunity to create a proposal for how to proceed. So then the OAC will finalize and document the funding allocations. You'd make a final vote on the approved and funded applications and their awards. And again, the decision would be majority vote if we have reached quorum. Once we get the sense of the total amounts for each of the applicants, the contract unit, our OC&P unit, would review all of the approved applications. If OC&P has any recommendations for modification of the funding, we would be bringing that to you for review and another vote. And then the the RFGA process did reserve the following options. So we can enter into direct negotiations to have a grant agreement with a proposer. If that proposer is the only proposer to the RFGA and the OHA determines that that proposer is able to satisfy the requirements, and we can also go into direct negotiations to have a grant agreement with organizations where in counties that there may not have been a proposer that has applied for the competitive awards to serve a specific service element. So that would allow us to go out into community and say, hey, you seem like you have the tools, equipment, staff, and resources that are needed to provide this to community. How can we fund and support you to help you become in alignment with Measure 110 and become a part of this work? And that, my friends, is the end. Do you have questions? Yes, Blue, please.
I just had a thought right now about this very end process, which I think when we've discussed it before, there was a mention that the OAC would also have a say in whether or not like a direct or negotiation, so that it wasn't OHA essentially making these decisions on their own when it comes to filling in the gaps through this process. That would be one thing that's just kind of standing out to me about this last part.
Okay. So I think that that is a very reasonable point, and I would love to be able to bring a list of suggestions to the council to consider for direct awards. Does that seem like, I'm seeing some nodding heads, but I'm unfortunately relatively short-sighted because I can't see everybody in the room. But I'm seeing some smiles. I'm not seeing any frowns or thumbs down. If anybody has a concern with that, please raise your hand and I am happy to discuss that. But if not, I can add in one more point here that would just say that the OHA would bring our proposal for direct awards to the OAC to review prior to making those direct awards. Yes, Blue.
No, I think that that covers it. Maybe it could go above those other bullet points, just so that it's clear that the OAC is still involved with those deciding on those other organizations. Thank you.
Let's not say would, let's say will. Does that make sense? The OHA will bring a list of recommendations for direct awards for counties that lack complete burns after the final awards decision is made in the OAC. Let's say in order to gain approval from the OAC on the recommendations. Is that clear and understandable, or too many words? I'm very good at too many words. Okay. Any concerns with that language? Happy to change it. Yes, Ron.
Yeah, I was just curious about that point. I guess the language that's in my head is that the OAC would be able to issue additional awards or make additional grants. And so I'm just wondering, would that be an application process, or would that be existing organizations that OHA has contracts with, or would it be applicants who were part of this RFG?
Well, it could be folks who have not applied at all. It could be folks that OHA has contracts with already for other services, potentially. The question around whether it could be someone who was voted not to have an award, I think if the council voted not to award a program, then probably that vote would stand. But if it were a program that was awarded and maybe applied for 2 service elements, but we'd like them to take on 3, then we could ask them, hey, could you add harm reduction program to your services? And we would negotiate the funding that would be necessary to add that program. So I think in that instance, yes, we could additionally award someone who had already been granted an award to build further programming. Does that make sense?
It makes sense. I'm just aware of a couple applicants that who just filed incorrectly or submitted incorrectly, for example.
Yes, they would definitely be considered in the direct awards. Absolutely.
Okay. Great. Thanks.
Okay, Henry.
Yeah, I just want to echo Eowyn's comment in the chat and express my gratitude to OHA and the OAC for this hard work being done to try to make sure the process goes smoothly. I know it's been sometimes a difficult process because it's a new process and feels like we're kind of building the plane as it's flying.
Yeah, we are.
So, yeah, so I just want to express my gratitude to everyone for their hard work. And also to express, I would like to express my concern as well about equity when it comes to, making sure we're providing adequate services for every county. I know that oftentimes, living in a frontier county that, the counties that are more populated often have a lot more services and get more funding. So I just want to make sure there's equity when we're talking about funding each county in Oregon, because there is a need. There's a lot of young people, I want to say, in the counties I live in that are struggling with substance use disorder and addiction, who need support. And there are a lot of talented organizations, whether it's, nonprofit organizations, for-profit organizations, or also county mental health departments that have a lot of talented folks that want to provide services to the folks that need it. So I just want to make sure, again, that we're talking about equity and making sure that everyone gets funded. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Henry. Yes, absolutely. I've started to do a little bit of research on the counties that we know will not have a full suite of services because we didn't receive applications for all of those counties. And there are a lot of amazing organizations out there doing great work. And it's likely that we can ask them to join in partnership with us in creating the burns. Jessica, yes.
Carlos has asked a question in the chat, and I just want to give him space to maybe speak about his question, if you'd like.
I'm going to stop sharing at this point so that we can all see each other again. Okay, hi.
I think it was explained. You just explained it.
Okay.
So,
okay, great.
And because it was about how about the applicants that didn't apply, or maybe this is different, who didn't apply in the right way but wanted to cover specific counties. That's the part that I didn't understand. Or was that what you just covered?
So yes, if someone applied, but for some reason their application couldn't be accepted, maybe it was late, maybe it went to the wrong place, maybe there was some confusion around some of the details, we have those applications and we will be able to review them and see if they are appropriate for a direct award. We'll bring those to you and let you see them and review them. And if they are appropriate, then we would be able to move forward with that.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. What other questions do you have? This is a long document with a lot of details, and I just want to make sure that everybody feels clear on the process and feels comfortable with the process. Yes, Blue.
So this might be a really specific question, but I'm just thinking about when we are making decisions about awards. I know that at least some counties have gaps and don't have an applicant for every category, but I guess I'm already trying to think about how are we going to know how much money to possibly set aside or to not give out, knowing that we have other services that need to get funded within each county. And I don't have the mathematical answer or any idea like how we could really do that. But I don't know if anyone's thought about that.
So ideally, once we get the votes and we have a sense of the programs that will receive an award and the service elements in each of those programs, we can do the math and deduct any, if a program was maybe partially funded, we'll be able to get a clear picture of what the reduction in funding would be. And we'll have a big spreadsheet with all of the details of the funding asks for each of those approved programs and see if it aligns with the amount of award money that we have available. If it does not align, if, for instance, we have, asks from all of the approved programs that totals more than we have, then we would have to go back and negotiate with each of the entities around what would be awarded of what they asked so that we could narrow it down to fit, excuse me, within our budget. Leaving out, again, that set aside amount for the tribes and also a set aside amount for any direct awards that would need to be made. And we can try and do some calculations and considerations of what that should be and begin to look at the organizations that might be able to do the work and get a sense for what their total costs might be to do that work. So we can start preparing some numbers to get an estimation of where we would be. I think it's going to be a bit of a shuffle dance. We'll go back and forth a bit. This is how much folks have asked for. Okay, that's still out of our budget. We'll go back and talk to them. Okay, this is what we've come back with. So we'll be doing that dance for a little while after the final vote in the council. And Steve is also sharing that this can be a part of the financial analysis that the council requests from us at OHA to prepare for the funding decisions. We'll have our lovely folks in our budget unit help us out with getting all of this calculated out. All right. Are there more questions? More thoughts?
I have another question.
Oh, please bring it. Yes.
I'm curious if there are thoughts yet around a timeline for these recommendations. And I just want to also say right now that I know OHA staff is working really hard to get all of these rubrics done. But I'm curious if we're going to see these recommendations to fill in the gaps around the same time that the council is making the votes on the other counties, or if that is expected to come a bit later down the line.
Well, I think that we can get a general sense of what will be needed for each county as we're going along, but we won't know exactly what each county has available until we get the final vote. We can prepare some information on, who the possible direct awardees could be to fill in the gaps, but we have to wait until after the direct awards to know for sure. So it could be in relatively short sequence. A direct award determinations are made, and then we look through that, get a sense for what's missing, and have a list of organizations that we could potentially work with to fill those gaps. And then we would be able to start working with you all on the decision around direct awards. Does that make sense?
Yes, because I was initially thinking about counties where ones that I was assigned, where I know, for example, maybe there was only a substance use disorder or harm reduction application, and there weren't even any applications for the other categories. But as you were speaking, I also realized that there's a chance that we may not want to fund whoever has applied for a certain category from that initial round, which would then be harder for you all to predict. So I was really just thinking about the ones where we already knew there wasn't an applicant, but that makes more sense now. So thank you.
Of course. So as it stands now, we have meetings scheduled out beginning Monday the 14th through till the 4th of April. And in total, we have still 40 hours to work with. If we adopt this proposal, it will shorten our meeting times a little bit and may still be able to get us to that deadline of voting on April 6th. It is possible that it won't, but it is more likely to be that we are able to make that vote for the final awards and get moving with getting the funding out the door. Yes, Steve.
Yeah, just wanted to mention, I guess what I'm getting from the group is that it seems like the recommendations flow pretty well for folks for the first, couple, 3 stages. It's just, where does that take us for those exceptions or for counties that don't have services, and the financial analysis that would guide your decision making later. And I just wanted to note, I think what's important is whether there's enough agreement to approve the next steps so the process can get started on Monday. And then I think we can come back and revisit some of these later stage process decisions at a later point. Or you could decide that you approve the first couple of phases and then and want to hold back on approving everything. So I just wanted to throw that out there. We're happy to continue to work with you to develop and refine a process that makes the most sense to you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Steve. So what do you all think? Would you like to vote on this process? Are there any additional pieces that you'd like to discuss? If you would like to vote, anyone is welcome to make a motion. Oh, and I just want to make sure before we start with motions, do we have everyone in the room who wanted to be here? Awen is back.
Angela, Carlos
Yes.
has a quick question.
Oh, yes, please, Carlos.
It really is quick. So just so that I know, when we are meeting, do I have to be present for all of these meetings or just the people that are reviewing?
So anyone on the council may attend the meetings, but if you are not a voting member of the subcommittee, you don't have to be present. It might be useful to get a sense of other people's thoughts on the recommendations, but again, not required. And I know that, 40 hours in meetings is a lot to ask of anyone. So if you'd like, yes. If not, you do not have to be. Okay. And, all of these meetings will be live on YouTube. They will be recorded. So if you are not able to attend a meeting and you would like to know what happened, you can always go back and watch the YouTube link to get more information. And we will be tracking the votes in each of the meetings, and we can share that information as we go. All right. Well, what say you all?
I would like to make a motion that we accept the proposal presented today as is in its entirety. Well, the way you proposed it today, my motion is that we accept Angela's presentation today and the guidelines that were given us. That makes sense.
Amy, unfortunately, we cannot hear you.
I'm sorry, Amy. If you want to type in the chat, I know you're on a phone and that makes that a little more difficult, but if you would like to type anything, please feel free and we'll answer questions.
I believe Amy was trying to make a motion. I made a little bit of that out, but.
Okay. And just wait a little moment so Amy can type what she needs to into the chat. Oh, okay. Amy says she would like to make a motion to accept as presented this recommendation.
Second.
Okay, marvelous. So Amy presents the motion, Keisha seconds. Let's do a vote and then
Discussion. We need discussion.
Oh, thank you.
Discussion.
Yeah. Any discussion points? I'm jumping the gun here. I apologize. Seb, yes.
I move for no discussion.
Okay. I don't see anybody else at this point with interest in discussion. So if it's okay with y'all, let's move into the voting.
All right, let's do it. We're going to take it from the top. All right. Amy, how do you vote? Yes.
Heavy head, big head nod.
Thanks, Amy. Blue?
Yes.
Thanks, Blue. Carlos?
Yes.
All right, thanks, Carlos. Caroline?
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
My vote is no.
Okay.
Okay. Dharma is not here. Aowen?
Yes.
All right. Thanks, Aowen. Henry?
Yes.
All right. Hubert?
Yes.
All right. Thanks, Hubert. Karen?
Abstain.
Okay. Keisha?
Yes.
Thanks, Keisha. Leticia?
Yes.
Thanks, Leticia. Melinda?
Yes.
Thanks, Melinda. Morgan?
I missed the discussion. I'm gonna have to abstain.
Okay. Nicole?
I am abstaining as well.
Okay. Onisha?
Yes.
Okay. Ron?
Yes.
All right. Sabrina?
Yes.
Okay. Zeb?
Yes.
Okay. Currently, we have 13, so the vote passes. We have 1 no, 2 abstains. and one not available.
Okay. Thank you all. Is there any discussion that you would like to have for folks who abstained or voted no about the changes? Are there any pieces that you'd like to bring up for discussion before we move on? Henry.
Yeah, I just want to recognize, Carolyn, that I really appreciate your perspective. And so maybe a minority perspective would be helpful. I just want to provide an opportunity for Carolyn to express her perspective. Thank you.
Yeah, I just feel like there's too many rule changes. I don't think we're there yet. I think we're still going to reach too many complications. I still think there's too many reviews. We've added an additional level of other folks reading the applications. I don't know how we're going to reconcile that. The earlier discussion was the fact that we wanted folks from the different communities familiar with the different cultures. Now we expanded that too much as far as I'm concerned. So I just don't feel comfortable with the total process. So that's the reason why I voted no. I think there's more problems that's going to be forthcoming. And I don't think we could be adding things to the applications. I don't believe that we could say because someone is missing an element of what we want covered, that we could just ask them now to add it and then fund them if it wasn't in the original application. I think there's just too many rules that we keep coming up with and changing, and I just don't feel comfortable with the process.
Thank you, Caroline, for sharing that. I appreciate you. It's good to know where we're at, and I do understand it is a lot of change and a lot of additional pieces. My hope is that it will make the process smoother and faster for all of us so that we can get the word out to community.
I'm sorry, Steve was
Go
saying
ahead,
there was 3 abstentions. Is that?
There is 3 abstentions. Thank you. I didn't read one. Thank you,
So
Steve.
did it pass or no?
The majority, 13 from 15.
Karen, Morgan,
go ahead, Karen.
and Nicole abstained.
Yeah.
We still have quorum though.
We
So
have
I think
quorum.
the majority.
Yeah, 13. We have that right.
But yeah, I'm just unclear. Is it the majority or majority of the seats represented?
Should be voting members.
Allison, are you here and available to answer Keisha's question? I see Allison on my list of participants, so maybe just giving her a second.
There might be an audio issue. We'll give her a moment.
Okay.
There she
Can
is.
you hear me all right?
Yep.
Yes.
So we've established quorum, and we had a majority of those voting vote yes, then that should be sufficient for the motion to pass.
Thank you. I was just wondering. Thank you.
Thank you, Allison.
No problem.
Thanks, Allison.
All right. At this point, it is 11:12. We had scheduled for 2 hours, but I would like to give you all as much of your day back as possible. Are there any other points of discussion that you would like to have? I could provide you with some information on, we just had the close of the legislative session, and a lot of information has come out of that. And I could walk through some of that, or I could email it to you and let you go for today. Do you have a preference? I'm seeing thumbs up for emails and not discussion. Does that sound good? Okay, we'll send it out to you. You can read through it and see the changes that have happened in behavioral health, and just to give you an update, on what's happening on the larger scale at OHA. But for now, I wish you all a beautiful Friday and a wonderful weekend. Thank you so much for coming together so quickly to make this happen. And we'll see those of you on the subcommittee on Monday from 1 to 5 p.m. And we'll start the voting. Thank you all so much.